Good morning.
Good morning. It is a cold, dreary day here in New Jersey,
Mm,
but we are starting a series. We'll probably do a couple of different ones, right? But this will be our Ready Player One series. So we're
mhm.
going to do the different games that they've talked about in there, and we'll kind of do like our clone version of those games. And the first one we're going to do is Adventure, which was for the Atari 2600
Mhm.
and developed completely by one guy,
Mhm.
which was incredible.
And I think what was that back in 1979, John? I think we read.
I believe it was 79. That's I don't
Hmm.
remember the specific year, but I know it was during a time when video games at home were new.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was. I started kindergarten in 1979, so it was that long ago. But this was it was a really cool game. In terms of the way that it worked, it was something different than like a Space Invaders kind of thing or an Asteroids, because it kind of had many rooms and things to do here. It was a true adventure game. I mean, looks pretty blocky, so graphics wise, it wasn't like a fantastic thing. But as far as the gameplay and concept, I played a ton of it because it was like there was nothing like a dungeon exploring game at that point. So
yeah, and when he did it, he got the idea because he had uh, seen his friends at college playing Colossal Cave Adventure, which was the first text adventure that was giant.
right.
And the size of it was so big that when he was trying to figure out how he was going to do it on here, there just wasn't enough memory on it. So he had to come up with a kind of a different version of the game that he could actually fit into the memory on inside the Atari, which which is incredible that he was able to do it. And like everybody at Atari was giving him a hard time about the fact that it's like, oh, it's just way too big. You're never going to be able to do it. This um, isn't something that's going to work on the Atari. He went, spent about a day, built up a quick proof of concept, and showed it to him, and they were like, "All right, this is on," and they had him start working on it. But it ended up taking him about a year to complete it, but that was because he ended up having some other project that came in that interrupted it, and then he had to come back to it um, about 6 months later and was able to finish. So I think it took him about 6 months to actually finish writing the entire game. Um, but he had to do all the graphics himself, so he had a lot of fun trying to do that.
It's
Which
Wednesday. Wednesday's the Hoppers. I'm sorry, we're getting some chat.
no more hoppers.
I know they're Hopper craze. They've been missing the Hoppers, John. We got to get our Wednesday stream going. So
I'm gonna stop using emotes.
if you'd have tuned in last night, you'd have seen us implement that. That's what
Yeah,
we were
we
doing
had
last
it.
night.
Yep, that
That's
was
great.
pretty
So,
fun.
John, why don't you play a little adventure real quick? So
Yeah,
our viewers at home that maybe had never seen it. So this is an emulator of how the game played. And the whole idea was you had to get the golden chalice back to the golden castle. So
yeah.
that little box there is our player, our hero.
So you can pick it up by running into it, and so now it'll be in front of me. I hit the space bar to drop it, and then I can pick it up again. So for different directions as needed. So you can move between the different rooms. I don't know if this will let me go through here.
I don't
Nope.
think it doesn't, but
Yeah,
maybe I think that might be openable at some point. I
maybe.
don't know.
Whoa,
It might
whoa,
just
whoa.
be a
Oh,
back.
I think it is openable, but that dragon almost got me. So let's say I want to get the black key.
Oh, oh.
I'm not. Ah,
So
he
that's
does.
the dragon. So some rooms have baddies in them. I think
He
there's
does.
bats too,
There are
or
bats.
something.
He looks. Ah.
Oh, okay. So he followed you.
Oh boy, he's
Oh,
really
he's on
following
you.
me.
Oh, now you're in the maze.
I one of the things that the guy said is that he's like, my dragons looked like ducks. he was he was very disappointed by the duck aspect of it. Yeah. So generally, the idea is that you can. I was trying to find. I can't believe I can't remember
Oh, it's not openable. Okay, that was the black wall. I assume. I'm
Oh, I
trying to
thought that.
watch the chat and the game.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
The whole screen would be blocked. That's funny. I don't remember. I think this key will actually let me get through here too.
So apparently you've played a bit, huh, Jimmy Shock?
Ah.
I know I played quite a bit of it too, way back then.
Holy smokes. This dragon is really fast.
Yeah,
I
this
could.
looks harder than it was on the Atari. Maybe the joystick made it easier.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I was trying to find the ramp. Yeah, the
I know.
problem.
Yeah, we got to find it's a sword actually. The arrow, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Oh,
got to find it though.
I have it.
Oh, do you have it?
The problem was is ah the
Ah,
the part that made it hard was that I had it. I was holding it in the wrong spot, so I had to turn it around. But yeah. So just the general idea for. Oh, jeez. So the game resets my player, so I can keep going, but the dragon doesn't reset. So, oh, did he just eat me? Oh, is that why is it empty when it starts?
oh, is it? He
Yeah,
did. He ate you.
yeah. You see how his like belly's
He's full. You're in the dragon.
yeah, because his
En-
belly's empty now.
Enter the dragon. Oh, that's
So
funny.
now I gotta
Okay.
pick this up.
Uh huh.
See if I can.
Slay the dragon. Oh yeah, he's down.
Yep. So generally the gist, the other big component in the game is the. Oh, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
the
be able to find it.
maze.
Yeah, not only the maze, but then the bridge, which you can
Yeah.
see there. So that's the other big component to the game, right? So, do we think this is a water maze? I think it's a.
Yeah, it must be because why would there be a bridge?
Why would there be a bridge?
And it's blue.
Blue-ish. Ooh.
So you can grab the bridge, and then you can move the bridge around.
Oh no, but I can't get the key again. I dropped the key in the water,
So stick the bridge over where the key.
and I can't
And
get
now
the
you
bridge
lost the
now.
bridge. You're bad at this game, John. You're very bad at this game.
Oh, I stink. Yeah, yeah, I stink.
All
Oh
right,
my goodness.
so I think we've seen all the elements of adventure here at this point.
Yeah, that's what their goal is, right? So that's the beginning.
He lost the key and the bridge. Yes, he did.
I'm gonna turn it off.
Take
I'm,
that.
I'm
Take that
taking
adventure.
I'm taking my game and leaving.
Okay.
I think we need to do something about the emote explosion. Maybe we need to put it in a different spot. We just used the same one that we had for high Pete, so that's why it does that. We just used a single emitter for it, but that's fun.
That's fun.
Yeah. So let's oh, nope. So
All
we
right.
want to let's get our
So
dime
this
here.
is Snap, which is very much like Scratch. It's a block coding, and this one it looks a little bit different. It's got a little bit more of a robust programming interface, but a little bit less in terms of the sprites that are available and things like that. So some stuff is a little more complicated to do, but this is where we're going to start out here. So John, what are you working on? That's going to be our player, right?
Yeah. So this is. We'll do our. We'll call him adventure.
Adventurer. All right.
Oh, you know what? Problem is that's not the name of the sprite. That's the name of the.
That's the name of the costume.
Yeah. Actually, I want to change the color of this. I didn't want that. Oh. Oh,
You're better off just deleting it.
yeah.
Just
Well,
trash can it and start.
you can actually clear it, so that's what I did. So I want to go more in this
Yeah.
space.
All right, there's our adventure. You're doing the. Okay, frame. Okay.
Yeah. So
And
I
then
just
the
got
name.
that name. We got the sprite. Oh, this I thought I.
Yeah, you could type it up there, and that'll make it adventure.
Yeah. So good. So now we got adventure. We're gonna want to be able to do the directions for this, right? So we have to be able to capture the keys. So I'm a little new to Snap. I've done more Scratch. So Pete, I'm gonna need.
So there's
on this.
two approaches to the movement here. So you can do an individual key press event for each direction you want to go, or you can put a forever loop in, and then basically go through and do an if key pressed for each direction.
Okay, I think we're gonna do that.
Okay, that's
Yeah. I'll tell you the reason is that we're gonna have to do a lot. Oh, I just lost Pete. I'm gonna need some. Pete is gone, and the music got much louder.
hello.
Hey, lost you there.
Hey, yeah, it just conked out. The call just dropped all at once.
Yeah, no, that was
Okay,
kind of strange. I'm
so
not sure. So for being able to get the the keys, we're gonna do a sensing. Is that correct? I believe that's what
and
we
there's
want.
that key pressed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then we can say if left arrow, and then we can do a motion.
Right. So you're going to want to probably change X by.
Yeah, because X is going to be our left and right
Right. Now
directions.
set X2 is not going to work out for you.
No, that's not. Well, yeah, we'll start with this because I think we're probably going to end up needing. So I've got left arrow.
Mhm.
Um, I've got it going the wrong direction though.
Yeah. So
So that means I'm going to
that
need a negative. I wonder if I'm going to do a 5. That seemed a little fast.
it did seem pretty fast.
I think that. I
That
think
looks better.
I think 5 is good. All right. Now I need to get back on the screen. So we'll add another one. I can actually just duplicate this here.
You can.
That'll make it convenient. And now change this to a right arrow. And now I can make this a positive value.
Right.
Oh,
You look.
I put it in the wrong spot. So it was inside that other if. So it would never reach it.
All right. Looks like you lost your guy. Oh, there he comes. Okay.
Yeah, because I went left, he went off the screen. Now he's back.
Right.
So I can go back and forth. Let's put in our next one, which is going up.
Right. So you're going to need another if. It's going to be in your control.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, you can do that, but then you're going to have to use a different blue block.
No, because it's still the same blue block, right?
Nope. The if is, yeah, that one is. But the change, you're going to need to change Y by to go up and down.
Oh, right. You know what? This is blue to me. This is purple, so that's why I was. I wonder if we're gonna have to try to optimize this ever.
The directional.
Yeah.
I don't know. Might get away with it for this game
Yep.
because there's not so much going on all at once. Don't
True.
understand what's happening. Oh, so this is the so we're putting together the game using block code. So this is actually how we teach the kids to code at the school, is using stuff like this. So these are it's basically your coding logic broken out into this palette of blocks. So right now we have our player so we're going to build out adventure. We're going to create a clone of the adventure game. And right now what John's working on is we have that little square there. That's the player that like grabs the key and moves through the dungeon. And what we have to do is so when the flag is clicked, that's like starting the program up, okay? And then it goes into that forever loop, which is it just runs the whole time until the program stops, and that's multiple hundred times a second. Basically, it's going through and checking to see if a key has been struck, and then if depending on which key is struck, then we move the character across the XY axis that controls the positioning on that like canvas that we have. And then the way that the XY works on the snap canvas is it's not like a web page where zero is up in the top left corner. Zero is right in the middle. So then anything, say like anything with a negative X value is going to be on the left half of the screen, and anything with a negative Y value is going to be on the bottom half of the screen. So it will work in that sense. So that's what we're building now. But that was a good question. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, and one of the things too that we can show is like, so one of the things that's neat about the way this interface works is I can drop this block on here and then I can just like tap it to actually execute it. So I click that and it's saying the go to X is 0, Y is 0. You know what I'm noticing is this is really small. I wonder if I can,
What
I wonder if it's hard to see the blocks on the stream because
it's pretty small for me on the stream, but let me make
yeah.
it bigger.
So yeah, so one of actually, dude, the zero's in a weird spot.
Yeah. Well, maybe because of the way you stretch the screen.
It was like that before.
It might be. Did you? Is there any? There might be a piece of your sprite, like that might be the center of the sprite. Did you draw the box off center?
Oh, so that's a
Because
very good.
there's a target circle, I think, in the middle. No, it's pretty. Oh, there it is.
But
So
why? Huh? It's weird.
that's the dead center.
You know what? It must have been because I drew one box and then drew another box. Because by default, it should automatically pick the center of your drawing. Ah,
I
that
agree.
looks much better. So yeah. So now you can click that. You so when you have this, when the flag is clicked, is where the execution can start. The thing that makes this interesting is that you can actually have multiples of these. So you could duplicate and have two different when it starts, right? So as soon as you hit this flag, both of these will actually start executing,
Right.
and so you can
So you
have
could have like
multiple
play
forever.
music or something in there, or some other operation on that other loop that was going while you were checking that. So
Yeah. So like an example, we could have this one over here. We could do. Um, yeah, so we just have this over here. We'll do this by one. We'll do this as a color. So when you hit start, you can see this starts rotating through the color palette. And so these are both executing because you can see the little glow there. And this is
mhm.
what allows you to do multiple operations all at the same time. But it does run. You can run into some interesting problems by doing it that way.
You can sort of think of them as threads because like stuff that has
For
like a
Jim,
weight, yeah, for Jim. So yeah, because things that like in other words, everything that's under that flag there in the forever loop, like if you have a weight in there, it will block that forever loop, but not necessarily the other. If that makes sense. Like the so
yeah, I'm gonna try and draw a key here, like the one that they had in the game. I think because the next part I want to try to do is make it so it'll pick up the key.
okay, that sounds cool.
I'm drawing this key backwards, aren't I?
There's a flip.
This is a terrible key. Oh, what if
I
I...
I think it's a fine key.
Let me try something. Let me try doing it with this. Maybe this will be a little
I agree.
I missed the end of it. Wow, no real great options, huh?
Just use the circle tool in the end. Uh, Actually, it was a square on the original game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's why I got
You should just type the word key, and we'll roll with that until we fix it.
All right, so I put that there in front of it. All right, good. Put the word key. Yeah.
Just use turtles and words.
All right, so I'm gonna name that the key. Got my beautiful, beautiful key. That looks great. Um, so for the sake of this, let's put it somewhere when it starts, so we
Right
can.
now. So now this is code that we're adding to the key sprite that he has added. So you'll see down in the if you look on the bottom right side there, there's the adventurer and the key are both there, and you'll see key is like highlighted, and then you see key is also up at the top, so you know where you're dropping your code.
Yeah. So I was able to drag this, right? Oh, so I want to drag this and put it in a spot on the screen. Oh, why?
Is it not giving you a handle to it?
There it goes. So how do I get the position of this?
Um, if you look over in your palette there, there's an X position, Y position that you can check off and show on your game. It's down at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
So then I can use those values in here. So I can put in the negative
Correct.
79 and the negative 9. All right,
Yep.
good. Oh, that's actually kind of convenient.
Yeah, yeah, it's all right.
Well, I mean, this can kind of show you what the stuff is, right? So you can. Oh, maybe not.
Well, you have
Oh,
to put
that's
it
for
for
the
that one.
key.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can
So
you can add it for the adventurer as well.
oh man, you got to do it for each one. That's silly. Okay, I don't really want those there. So we'll have that go there. What we actually want to do, right, is we want to be able to have this come over here, and once it gets within a certain range of it, it kind of pick it up and then stay in that position with it, right? Like that's kind of how the game worked. Is that
Right. So once it's touching, then you want to change its directive to follow.
right? Um, so all right, so that's gonna be trickier than I thought.
Eh. So you're going to say, so you're going to have a forever loop, and you're going to have a if touching player, and
Thanks.
then we're going to have to, huh?
Yeah, just I can't wait for John to have to draw the dragon duck.
Uh,
Uh, I was the best artist during a time when you could only draw in.
when art was bad.
Yeah, whenever was that exactly? Yes. I missed my
All
time. 40
right.
years too late.
So I think you're probably going to want to have it on the key, right? On the item to see if they're touching the player. Because the item is going to follow the player after that event happens.
Right. So yeah. So on here.
Right. You're probably going to need some kind of variable on the key. Okay. Like a touch like it is following kind of a switch. Because when you drop it, you're going to want to turn that off so you can walk away from
Yeah.
it.
So
That's what they're there for.
yeah.
The
It
emotes.
it is it is. When we were doing it yesterday, it felt like it wasn't big enough, and now it seems too big. So it can. It's called programming for that reason. Hey, Ratty the Nico. The Nico? Yeah.
Hello.
Welcome. All right, so I'm going to uh, we'll say touching, and we'll say adventurer, right? So we can use this to sense that. Um,
right?
Question is, do we do this as a forever loop or just do it as a?
You have to,
Yeah, okay.
because
So
it
we'll.
otherwise it'll run once.
Yeah, I was thinking about messaging, but that may be a little over the top. So we can say if touching adventurer.
Yeah, I mean you could call a message now to do something, but yeah,
Yeah.
we're probably going to want some kind of. So it's not really touching. It's going to be like grabbed or something like that if held.
Well, we need to get it to a point of doing that.
Yeah, so we have to set. So what would that variable name be? I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So where do I put the variable? Oh,
Uh,
here's a make variable.
yes.
I'm so used to using Scratch. I'm thinking
Yeah,
that
and there's
that.
actually a like a local variable you can do too with that script variable. So that'll only be available to the actual chain of code that it's in. Just so you know, it's a little
Yeah.
something different. And there's a
So
little inherit there too, which is interesting.
yeah. So ready the Nico. This is Snap. This is the one that was created by Berkeley. So it's Snap and Scratch are very similar to each other. There's little differences. I'm used to Snap or Scratch, so it's like trying to trying to convert the stuff over is like sometimes there's something a little bit different. Uh, but
Yeah.
so yeah, this
Yeah, it's supposedly like it seems. I not even supposedly. It seems like it's more robust as far as the programming functionality, but it has other niceties that like Scratch has. That I mean, it doesn't. It's missing some of the little niceties that Scratch has in the interface and stuff. Yeah, sort of. That's fair. Was Snap was Scratch more complex?
yep.
Yeah, but with complexity, also you get freedom to do different things. So it's it's that trade off.
Yeah. I mean, Snap has added more and more stuff to it to get them more in line with each other. But like you can even see here, like this area in the variables is where they really did a lot more, where they have maps and items, and they work with the arrays better uh, than Scratch does. And I'm
Right.
gonna get them mixed up. I'm gonna say them in the wrong way sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. So
Feels like they did that on purpose sometimes.
yeah. Right. So what I'm gonna do is when this happens, I'm gonna mark this as held to one.
You actually have true and false in Scratch in Snap. You
Oh,
have
really?
booleans. Yeah, they're in your operators.
I'm not seeing.
It's I can't point to it. It's under not, so you can toggle that to true or false, and you can just drop it right in there where the one is.
Oh,
Right, so you get a true boolean.
I wasn't expecting that because this is angled and that's square.
I know it threw me at first too, but I looked up a sample and I was like, oh, there's an actual bool value. Does Snap remove any things that Scratch has? I've not encountered it yet, but I don't claim to be like the be all end all expert of either. So
All right, so here this the whole thing here is that once this is there, so then it should be held. Um, what I should probably this if statement is going to end up well.
so I will put another one under there that says if held, and then it would just you set it to the follow or like go to player.
Yeah.
Now
So
it's going to sit right on the top of it for now, so we're going to have to deal with that.
yeah. Well, it'll be right on the edge of it, right? So if it's held, then we're going to have its motion tied to it.
Right. So
Um,
you're going to go to, and then where the drop down is. So about halfway down, you see go to with a drop down. That's go to a position. Yeah, next one down. That's the
okay.
one. And then we should have the sprite available, adventurer down the bottom.
Oh,
Boom.
okay.
But I
So
think it's going to align their center points.
yeah. Well, we could just so that's part of the problem, right? So let's just get it working. Um, and ready the Nico. We're actually working on. the adventure game from the Atari 2600. We're just doing a clone of it, and right now we're just kind of trying to get the beginnings of it because we just started brand new from the end. Um, so I believe, Jim, the it had to have been written, I believe, in assembler, because I don't think the Atari 2600 had a basic um, an emulator that they used on the cartridges, but I don't know that for certain.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like for all the looking up we did, I didn't catch that.
Well, you know what they didn't talk about. We'll have to find out what the Atari 2600 was developed in, because I believe it was assembly. Um, but they may have had a basic compiler. Um,
Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
sure. We should. Hey, John, can you put a link to what you were playing, like the emulator, in the chat in case anybody wants to see what it is that we're working on, like working somewhere?
Oh yeah. You know what? I might even be able to make that as part of the. Yeah. Well, Jim, you should have seen. I was looking at some of the code that they used for it, and it was a lot of that. It's the only way that you could do it for drawing the graphics to the screens. And when you have 4K to work with, like you have to squeeze everything down into like as small amount as possible. So so we need to have something here for dropping it, right? So I want to use the space bar to drop it.
Hmm.
So we want to then do an if sensing, and then we can do the set. Um, Set that false.
Right, and then that's all in one script there, so that's a good deal.
Yeah. So that. So
Right,
we're
so it's
doing.
running.
Yep.
Now, when you touch it, it grabs it and it goes. Boo!
Oh,
All right.
I can't drop it. So
Oh,
it's
because it's touching to
it's
because
touching
it's
it.
you gotta like. Oh boy. So we need like a timer or something before you can touch it again or something.
I well, I or we have to get it so that it's away from it.
Like have it throw it away.
Yeah, maybe we could do something like that. We'll do maybe we could put
Yeah, like push it 10 out or something.
yeah, let's see if might need more than that. Maybe well to make it exaggerated, I'm gonna do it 40.
So we can see which way it's going. Yeah, it sounds like a good plan.
Oh, let's stop. Okay, so pick it up, got the key.
Whoa.
Hey, but at least I dropped it, so I could drop it and pick it up. Woo! It's like I'm throwing it pretty far. So I don't need to throw it that far. I wonder if 15 will be enough. Nope, 15's not enough.
What if you just throw a weight in the drop, like make it wait a second before the rest of it kicks in?
Well, but then I have to be moving.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the.
What if you yeah,
So 25. Wow, 40 seemed so big, but
25 is like nothing.
yeah. Oh, here's something that's funny. That's why it looks like so much. Watch this, ready? So I'm gonna have to
Huh?
try. I'm gonna try to do this really quick. I'm gonna hit the space bar. So that's 35 probably, and
Okay.
that's. But when I pressed it, because I held it
Oh
down,
no.
it kept going. It just like flew off the screen. So the problem is because we have this with just if the space is pressed, right? Um, yeah. So I think what we're gonna
And
do,
so you want it to be if held is also equal to true.
yeah. So we have to put two ifs in there, and I think with what Jimmy and Ray the Neek are talking about is that the part of the thing here is in the is held, we're saying go to adventurer, and that's what's putting it right on top of it. What we're going to do is we're going to actually we need to get some variables on where the player is, so we can say when it touches it, where was it at, and then keep that same distance, and it'll follow it around separately. Because realistically, in the game itself, right, if you come over and you touch it from the bottom, it'll then stay on the top of the item, right? So it would stay up here.
Right. So
Or if
so
I go
I'll
and I go
okay.
or like this way, it would stay on the bottom of it, right? So that's what we actually want to be able to do. Right now, we were just trying to get the fact that it could pick it up.
So in this format, like trying to track where something is tricky. It's going to be a lot of scripting that you have to build out and maintain just to keep track of where that is. You might be better off just creating a little buffer zone around the sprite so it looks like it's not quite touching it, and then throw the weight in. Just throwing that out there because this might be a rabbit hole. I mean, we can go down it, but I've in trying to track things, it gets complicated quick.
Um, that's fine, but well, I'm trying to get it so it's as close to the original as possible.
Hmm.
So
So that's for the space thing. So
yeah,
that'll keep us from throwing it across the screen.
yeah. So that should yeah. So now that's why it looked like it was going it was going all the way across the screen because the spacebar just kept throwing it, right? So it just kept
Right.
moving. So now it's only going to do it when it's held. So that's good. So now we've got it's only going one direction. But see, that's part of the reason because we're not holding it in the right spot. What we can do is in here we can add a variable, right? So we'll do one here called player X. Actually, we'll just do adventure. And then, right, so we'll put those there. And then as part of that, we'll just set it in here. Oh,
I set it. Yeah, I was going to say you could set it right at the bottom.
yeah,
Yeah.
right into this loop here. So now we can set that to, we'll set the Y.
We got those bubbles.
Yeah, so then we put the X and the Y. So now we're reporting that out into this other variable that we can now take advantage of inside of here, right? So what we can do is instead of this, we can say, um, uh, oh, what we need in here is we're going to need some variables.
For at that position, right?
Yeah, for this position. So actually what we need is the difference, right? So we want it when we touch it, we want to be able to say, what is our position versus the key position when we touch
Right.
it,
So you can maintain that distance. Okay.
right? So we'll do, because this is only for this one, so we'll do a diff X and a diff Y. That will give us that. So what's going to happen is when we do the touching, this is also going to we're going to have to add the same thing here. Um, so that we can put this in here instead. Nope. Wait a second. What was that?
Hmm.
Uh, hmm. I just realized this is the wrong direction, right? So, because we want to say if it's not held and it's touching the adventure, then we want it to be touching.
Right. There's a
Or,
knot.
yeah, I got to get the knot. Um,
There you go.
yeah, so if it's not is held. Not is held. Okay. Um, so then we got to set those variables. And we'll set the diff.
Hmm.
And we'll take the operator. So we're going to take where. Oh, I know I'm going to mess this up.
Yeah. Like
I'm going to
this
get
work
the wrong
is.
direction. So coming into it, what I want to take. going to be
Is this a mod operation? Like, how are you gonna?
no. It's what we want to do is we want to take the Adventurer X. I believe this is the right way to do it.
It's not always gonna be a minus, right?
It's always a minus from the
For the difference.
yeah. So because you're going to want negative numbers in here sometimes, because if you come up around the back side of it or come up around the front side of it,
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Is actually where you're approaching it from. Like, so okay.
and then so then this here we should be able to set it to
Venture X minus difference, right?
actually I think we want to add them. That's why the difference comes in here, right? So that's why that's important, which direction we went. And then I can put this here, and then did I make this variable? Did I put this in the wrong spot?
Yeah. Why is that not? Oh, you just made it global.
I didn't mean to make it global. Shoot.
I'll delete it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of my head.
If you name it the same, I think it's okay. Like the blocks will be okay.
Diff y. Make a variable.
Diffie.
That's the diffie is what's taking care of all this for us. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Let's see. Oh, so see, I got it backwards.
Close. Yeah, you got it. You get it from that side. No, it's
I got them backwards.
yeah.
So maybe it did need to be a minus. Is that
I
what?
think it might depend on which side of the block you approach from, which is going to be
I don't.
weird.
It shouldn't. So let's see.
See how that flipped it to the other side of the block? Now, if you drop it and approach it from that side, does it flip again or does it stay where it's supposed to be? It flips it again. All right, so you just probably got it backwards.
Yeah. So maybe this should have been a minus as well.
You got to build them. Yeah.
Ah. Sometimes typing is just easier.
And you're good at it.
Yeah. Well.
Which we are, but
All right. Let's try that one. Let's see.
that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right. Now we don't need this. We don't need this. This kick out here, right? These move steps. What we should do. The only thing is, maybe this. Let's try this. So I think this is going to work, right? But the space. Oh, so space worked when I. Was okay there. The problem is the space. I'm hitting it and it's not letting it go because I'm still underneath of it.
Right. Well, that's what.
So I think what we need to do is we need to have a buffer around it, and I think that's where this will come in.
Right. So push it like, yeah, I see what you're saying. So add like a +2 in there or something.
Yeah. So maybe you can help. I'm gonna try taking a look at that and try to mess with that. Ratty the Nico had a question about
Yeah, I'm
lists. Maybe you can help out with
trying
that
to
because I'm
make it
not.
so I can choose an item from a list. Do something based on
So
this.
I'm gonna take.
I haven't done as much list work as I would have liked in here because I came to it from scratch, which just has that real basic list. So I'd have to kind of look at it and work it out. So you want to be able to choose an item from a list. I mean, I can, on my side of things, open up. Let's see if I can get a quick answer for that.
Oh, come on.
So I mean, you would want to pull the name out and probably put it into a variable. It seems like that would be the way to go based on your question there on the higher level.
Yeah. How are you selecting the item? How are you choosing an item from the list? I think is another question. Is it like something in the drop down or
Yeah, because there's if you're doing it in if you're trying to do it in Snap, there's a bunch of stuff in Snap to work with the arrays. Like there's find first item, and then there's a conditional you can put in. There's uh, keep item, so that would be like a filter that takes a conditional, things like that.
right? So doing in Scratch.
Okay, doing it in Scratch. Well, Scratch. Um, as far as I can tell, the way that Scratch works, it's really just a list of values in an array. It's not a real array. So you can kind of zip through you can search it, but you can't have really multiple, like you would have to do some kind of funky like comma delimited string or something to try and get an array of arrays because Scratch doesn't do it.
Yeah, I think what they're looking for is that the list would have a list of names, and then you could take the name that comes out of the selected item,
Hmm.
right? And I think in Scratch there is the like get item at, right? So you can say get item at one, and that'll tell you the thing that's in the one position, and that would
That is
return
true.
the name, and then I think you can test that name to do something based on that. And that one you can actually use as it can be taken as a variable for the item that's in the list. So then that way you can say here, based on this variable, get this item from the list and get the name out of it.
Yeah, but it's just going to be the value like at that position. Like you're not
Yeah,
going to be able to have like give me the name of this thing that's in my list. It's just going to be here's the list of names. What's at position two?
right. Which is kind of like I think that's what Ready the Nico is asking. It's like,
Yeah.
how would I make it so I can choose an item from a list and get the name of the item, then do something based on the name of the said item? Is the item that
Right.
you're
So
trying to
the
have in the list a string, or is it trying to put
like a sprite or something.
yeah, I don't think you can put like sprite elements into a list, but with the name, you could do something based on that. You could even do it when you clone it. You could have it based on that item and say, let's say you have a bunch of different costumes for a sprite. You could say, when clone using this ID, get this sprite, right? Or this name from it and get that sprite.
Hmm.
Um,
So how are
yeah.
we doing here? Yeah, I mean, I hope hopefully that was helpful. I'm not sure if it was. It's all comes in how you're doing that choosing, I guess.
So let's make this 5. If it's 0, we want to add 5. Here we want to subtract 5.
Mhm. So that's going to keep into account which direction you're approaching it from.
Yeah. And it's going to be based on um, yeah, it should be based on this. I think that will it's still touching it.
That time it didn't. It may just have to do with how far in you get before you hit that if touching.
Mm,
So you might just want to push it out once that engages.
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that is what you're doing. You just don't know how far to do it.
Yeah, because it's different depending on the version of it. It's crazy. Okay. Or like when it actually senses it.
Yeah, because there's a little bit of like if you smash into it real fast, you go farther in potentially
You know what?
because
It's
it's
actually going to be based on the fact of how fast we're moving, right? So we're moving at 5 5 blocks. Oh, that's kind of. Oh, wonder. It's weird that it dropped down, right? So I expected that. See how it dropped?
Hmm. So it's pushing the Y around every time too.
Is it because I did?
Hmm.
Um, you know what? Because the Y is off by a certain amount. Maybe what I need to do on here
Threshold or
is,
something.
yeah, maybe make this like a 5. Make this a
Yeah,
-5.
yeah. Give it a little threshold. That'd be good. Uh-huh.
It's still.
Better, it seems. Wow. Nah, it's still moving it, huh?
I wonder if I can. Can I get right on it? Let's look at where the center. I mean, it's kind of working, so I'm pretty happy about it, honestly. That it's at a point where it's seems to be doing it. What I'm not sure about is why the why it's shifting over, and I don't think it's the worst thing that it's doing that. I just don't know.
See, it feels like if you almost like if you are approaching it from the top and bottom, don't move left and right, and vice versa. But we don't really understand. I don't understand how we would know that angle of approach, like which side you're approaching it from.
Yeah, maybe.
It doesn't tell you where it's touching. I
Yeah,
mean, you
it
could
does.
kind of calculate it because if you have both positions, you can kind of calculate it, right?
I'm trying to think. So the
Hmm.
39 and 4. Hold on. So I almost would like to see what the diff is before it changes, right? So I can pull these all out of here. Let me try this again. So we should be able to tell based on the diff value,
Hmm.
right? So I think we could do something where we say if let me try this one more thing.
So if we
Because if I'm coming up from the bottom,
then the diff.
yeah. So it's like got to figure out a range, right, that we would want to change one versus the other. So like if we could do it where we say like if x diff is let's do between, let's say, what if we say that diff x is greater than -20
Okay.
and less than 20. Oh, that is great to hear, Ready the Nico. What did you end up doing to get it to work? Am I saying that right? Ratty the Nico? I think so.
Ready the echo.
Ready the Nico? Oh, it could be. And then we have this in here. Oh yeah. All right. So I think it's going to take some adjusting a little bit on it, but I think we're pretty close.
Yeah. So that's getting the feel of it. Like
Yeah,
it's just tweaking the numbers, the values.
yeah. I think it's the right spot. So it's gonna be the same thing. So I do this. I basically do this exact same thing. I don't know if duplicating this is the best way to do this, but
Yeah,
because I think I want these in here now, and then these up there.
right. Like the inverse. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think Y is going to be a little bit different because, well, no, it's a square, so I don't know. Let's see. Um, so I think. Oh,
Ah,
so this is where the numbers come in, right? So I think the part of it, this might actually work out better if it's 30. So we'll try these at 30. Ah, there you go.
cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Whoa. Whoa.
So,
It's most. So 30 might still be too small. It's like, try that. Let's see. It says if term or if item number of Apple is inventory, answer set, used item. Ah, perfect. That sounds great. I like it. All right. So part of the problem is when you get to the edge, right? Ah, why'd that still drop?
it's
Why did that?
just
Why did that drop? So we're coming in. I think what I need is I need to bring up the variables for the key. Um,
so you can
so
see what they look like, so you can get that comparison.
yeah. Oh, check this
And
out. If you click
oh,
on the thing, it pops up the value of it.
oh, that's cool. So you can just check it without having to show it.
Yeah. Huh, it's kind of convenient.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh
So,
wow, we're like at the end of our show, John. Jeez,
oh my goodness.
we
Hey, we
can.
got step one.
Yeah, let's. We can continue a couple more minutes. Just try and get this wrapped up.
Yeah, 'cause I think we're getting pretty close. So I want to see. So we're X position. So the difference here, -20 minus 9, -19, is a +1.
Hmm.
So Y is a 1. I think we might have these backwards. Because so what's happening, right? So Y is 1. So it means it's inside of here. Yeah, wait, no, that's right. So if it's inside of here, then it would buffer for the X. Because the X would be um oh, maybe we need to put this back to 0. Maybe that's where the problem is coming in. Because that was trying to solve for a different problem.
Okay.
Oh, nope, that made it worse.
No, that was no good.
I almost want to get this to simple numbers. Maybe we should set this to where we're just dealing with positive numbers. It might make things a little easier.
So everything on the top right of the screen, kind of.
Yeah, so we'll set that to 10-0, and then we'll set this one to 50. So now when we start it, we'll just start over to the right a little bit. So we touched. Oh, it changed Y as well, though. but the diff of that should have been 0. So diff y should have been 0. Oh, snap. So maybe that's how they came up with the name for this. As you're working, you're like, oh, snap. Was it from the 90s? So I think what's happening is it's doing both of these based on these values. And I'm wondering if it should only do one or the other. Because that is 0, so 0 is in the center of this. So that's why it pushed the y, or pushed the x, right? So the x was 10, right? So let me start this over. So as we're getting closer, it's, we're talking about it being 30.
Yeah, but it still should have fell through those greater than less than zeros if it's equal to 0, but it's not equal to 0.
What? Oh, you know what? So I just found it. Here's the interesting part.
Huh?
We're always changing the y. Diff y, diff y, diff y, diff y.
Oh my goodness. There it is.
Yeah. So this is an opportunity for a lesson of the copy paste fallacy.
Right? Even when you said I shouldn't be copying and pasting this, but it'll be all right. It was not all right.
It was not all right. This is how those sneaky bugs get in there, because you think that should have been fine.
Yeah, it's a good thing we make these mistakes on purpose for the stream.
Yeah, we did this on purpose. But see, now we've got it working. Oh, there's still. Oh, you know what? That's still the buffer issue. So we just need to figure out what that right number is. So this is still off. So we're
All right,
just going to do 40, 40, negative 40, 40 there. And I think that if that's not it, it's just going to be a little bit more. Yeah, I think the Y is wider, so we'll have to
yeah.
play with that. But
The key itself is wider. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that we're in a pretty good spot.
All right.
I think we can
So,
say we completed the key portion, or the ability to being able to pick stuff up, right? So now we can.
yeah, I mean we can move on with the game at this
Yeah,
point.
I think we can tweak some of this and try to figure that out. But that's pretty great. I'm pretty happy with that progress. This, it's one of those ones where I'm always surprised how long programming can take. So
Yeah, even block programming.
even block programming.
Yeah, well, that's part of the cool thing about the live stream is that you kind of get to see it happen
Yep.
organically instead of like all the stuff that we talked about, we cut that out and just put together a produced show. So I don't know, it's kind of neat for the live stream to be able to see how we work through that.
Excellent. So I'm gonna. So how do I rename this?
You go right up there, and I believe you just click it.
It's not
Like
doing
the
anything.
words. No,
No.
are you logged in? Is
Uh,
there? All right, so go to File, which is that little piece of paper, and do Save, and maybe it'll give you an opportunity there. Yeah,
oh,
there you go.
okay. All right, good.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure we saved it before we quit out. All right. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Ray the Nico for joining, and Jim and
Yeah, and
Zora.
everybody, Azura, the whole crowd. Thanks for
Yeah.
everybody for joining us, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Yep. Have a great weekend and week. If I can find the right thing to end it.